Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. And I want to talk about what's going on. And you're probably like, what do you mean, what's going on? Well, I'm thinking about all the things that are happening in this world, right? We have mass shootings going on. We have a country really kind of divided in the sense of, politics. And then I look at what does the news force feed us with? And you really have to kind of look at the seed planting that goes on. And is that driving our behaviors? If you're not honest with yourself, if you participate in the news and you participate in kind of the mass media jungle of entertainment, if you will, if that's what you want to call it these days, then I think you're overshadowing how much of an influence that our media has on the way we think. So, when I really take things into perspective, I haven't had cable for 2 years, which has really been a blessing for me, and for the wife. It's been a complete blessing. Let me tell you, when we cut the cable off, at first we were kind of weird about it because our home was so quiet. You didn't have that constant noise and that vibration running in the background. But then it became kind of therapeutic not having the TV on. And then it got to a point where we became just used to it. So, it's weird for people when they come over our house. I mean, we have the TVs mounted on the wall just to pretend like we're not completely weird. However, when people come over, they're probably a little weirded out because we don't have that frequency just running in the background. And I noticed that for some, it throws people off, which it's just different. And it threw us off at first as well. So, I'm hip to that fact. But one thing that I've noticed with us is that the way we think, as far as what's happening in the world, and kind of taking our own perspective and our own look at things has changed. It's created an ability to discern truth and what's really kind of just garbage that we realize that is being fed to us. So I really want all of us to get to a point, and it's gonna happen. Humans are gonna eventually get to the point where they catch up to the fact that maybe what the news is constantly force feeding us is done with a purpose. And what is that purpose? That's up to you to find out. That's not up for me to tell you or to force feed my belief on what's going on. But I find that because it's always been a habit for us in our life to have the TV running on. I mean, since I was a kid, the TV's always been running. News was always running. That type of stuff. So it kind of almost is just that rinse and repeat behavior. Our parents did it, so we do it, and we follow the same suit. But it's amazing when you really just kind of take the lid off of the garbage that is constantly being fed to us on TV, and you don't really realize it's garbage until you turn it off. But guys, it has an influence on the way we think, the way we behave, the way we treat each other. We're constantly in a mode of competition because of what we see. We see, people with nicer cars, nicer houses, nicer clothes, and all this stuff becomes a competition in our mind. And this is obviously not just TV I'm talking about. I'm talking about the social media aspect. And I think social media is great. It's created a platform where people from all over the world can have conversations with each other. Therefore, what it's doing is it's breaking down boundaries of secrets, which I think is very cool. And over time, we'll see that these boundaries of secrets will eventually start ringing true for a lot of those who maybe thought that they were just kind of underlyings of conspiracy theories. and stuff like that. So social media is great. So I'm not, really knocking social media completely, but I think when we utilize it for the wrong things, we get caught up in the wrong idea of what really we should be focusing our attention on. If we're really concerned about what people think about us or validation, then we might be swimming in kind of the shallow end of consciousness. We maybe need to swim to the deeper end of consciousness. And, how do we do that? Well, it takes an element of cutting off the noise to really go within yourself to figure out where you're at consciously. And if you allow social media to run your life, if you allow the TV to run your life, and if it's running your life because of the way you react and the way you respond to things. If there's that news story that constantly is getting up under your skin, then that's an indication of where you're at vibrationally. That type of stimuli has an effect on your daily being. So that's how you know where you're at consciously. And when you cut it off, like I said, it's just it just becomes amazing, the silence and the things that you kind of discover about yourself. It's weird. I know I sound weird, but I'm happy to do that because if this helps anybody cut the noise and the racket out of their mind and go a little bit deeper and find out a little bit more about themselves and realize that all the power that and the change and the things that you want in your life, all the power that you have within yourself can be discovered if you just dive a little bit deeper within yourself. So take the time to really, really take this message to heart. What am I really referring to? I'm really just referring to the fact that we really got to stop paying attention to the garbage noise and the frequency that's really kind of running our life. And once again, you'll know if it's running your life if you're affected by it, if you're constantly talking about it, if you're running the social media and talking about, oh my God, did you see this on the news? You're being affected by it, and you have to ask yourself, is it doing me any good? And is being informed in this manner? I mean, it doesn't really seem like the news is really here to inform us anymore. It just seems like they're really more so here to scare us more so. And for me, I can't get down with that. I mean, when I walk outside, my daily life is not what the news depicts it to be. And when everybody starts kind of catching up with that idea that, hey, you know what? I see people out here and we seem to be getting along pretty well. But then when I turn the news on, it makes it seem like it's a war zone out there, but it doesn't really match up with my everyday life. I think is when the news will stop kind of force feeding us the fear and the constant fear mongering that is being placed upon us. At the end of the day, I'm not trying to tell you, hey, you got to cut off the TV. But what I am saying is that maybe you should consider what the effect is that it has on you. Does it have an effect? Ask yourself these questions and be honest with yourself. You know what? I'll even challenge you for 7 days. Go without the TV. See if you can go without the TV for 7 days. A 7 day challenge. See if you can go without the TV for 7 days and see the effect that it has on your brain and see how you think. See if you're a little bit clearer in your thoughts. See if you just feel a little bit more zen in your life, and if that does anything for you, then I did my job, and that's all that matters. So 7 day challenge, cut the TV off for 7 days, try it, just see what happens. It might be weird for you at first, but just see what happens, and leave a comment below.